Lori's heart is for you. And she cares deeply for the mother. And she's cared deeply for me as a mother and helped coach me or even just do this. So proud of you, Paige. And that has meant the world. So I'm really thrilled that Laura's here and you're gonna kind of do a little intro today. I'm gonna ask you a silly question just to introduce you.
See if I can
If
answer.
you were an animal, what would you be? And why?
The first thing that came to my mind was it'd be a little kitty.
Oh,
But that's not really my personality, but I like that.
kitties have all kinds of
They're
personalities.
so cute and soft.
I love it. Perfect. Okay, Lori, I'm gonna pass it off to you.
Okay, thank you.
And, oh, one final thing. If you haven't filled out your All About Me on your table, the little handout, that's just a tool for you to use to get to know people at your group. So during the discussion time, you can fill it out. You can talk about that. Lori will probably give us a question or two to talk about as well, but that's just a tool for you. Lori, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna just pause first and we're
Okay.
gonna pray because
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna pray for Lori. and just-
Aw, thanks.
Yeah, Father, oh God, thank you so much for this time. And I pray for Lori. Use her words this morning. Speak through her, encourage us. I pray that our ears would be ready to listen and that you would keep us just ready to hear from you, from Lori, and from each other. In your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Thank you. Do you want me to use a mic or no? Can you hear me? What would you prefer?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Great. I'm better without a mic. I get distracted with the mic. Welcome. You've all been prayed for, thought about. We're excited to meet you. I've been back at Seacoast for about the last year. Amber, I met on Sunday. It was so cute. She was standing there with her husband, very pregnant. And when I saw her, I said, that's what I looked like the first time I came to Seacoast, which was like 38 years ago. And so it just brought back memories of being new and pregnant and so welcome. There are lots of things that I want to tell you, but what time do you want me to finish? 'Cause I want
Let's
to be
go to
respectful.
10:25.
Got it. So I'm going to withhold some of them, but one of the things you're going to learn about me is that I'm pretty open and I might share things that might make you uncomfortable, but I've learned that that's what God does and that's how he uses me is because I'm very real. And I'll say it like it is, and I make people uncomfortable. But I can't change. So, even at our MOPS meeting the other night, I said to the mentor moms, you know, I was a mentor mom once, and it was my least favorite job. And everybody's like, oh. And so that's how I am. Just so you know, and I said the reason I didn't like it is because I felt very insecure. I felt like awkward, wasn't sure of what to say, what not to say, to have self-control. So for some of us, we need to talk more, and some of us, we need self-control. I need self-control all the time. And so it just was awkward. I didn't know anybody at the table. And here I am in my 60s, sitting with all these beautiful young moms, thinking, I have a lot of wrinkles, or gosh, I'm a little chubbier, or start condemning. It's very uncomfortable for me. And so I know I needed to get the lead. Anyway, so that's how I am. And guess what happened when I said that? Can you guess?
They agreed.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you permission to feel your feelings, to be who you are, and to be okay with that. Are there any locals, any Encinitas people? Or California people? Yay, that's a lot. Okay. Are there anybody who works outside of the house or has another job? So it looks like the majority. Okay. And who in this room is perfect? Well then, you're not gonna have a good time. And how many of you come from a perfect family? And it becomes more apparent the older you are and as you have children. So as I share things and talk about people and talk about things, I really want you to all understand that I am not judging them. I'm sharing hard things with people that I've had in the past because it was hard. Did it mean I didn't love them? Did it mean that God didn't make them and they're not precious? Of course not. But I'm going to be very blunt and honest again because I want to give you all permission to sit where you are. Or maybe some of you, you like to think that the world is wonderful. And to think that it's not is so uncomfortable for you, you can't even go there. You can't even go there because it can't be true because, especially if you want to be a good Christian, right? There's all that pressure. And we're not doing a Bible study up here, but I don't see it in the Bible that we're perfect. So just, how many times am I going to say that? A lot. But I did want to point out that I'm going to say some hard things about some relationships I've had, but I'm also not perfect in them. So I'm sharing them from the viewpoint of what my struggles were in that relationship, not that they were an evil person. Does that help? Okay, great. So, many years when I was in my 20s, my husband and I were involved in a small group, and this couple were kind of our mentors, and we met with them for 3 years, and I learned a lot about parenting, about marriage, about life, about the word. I mean, it was just an awesome experience. And I started having some things happen with my mother that I was uncomfortable with and didn't know how to handle. And I went to Cynthia, that was the name of the gal, and I said, so Cynthia, blah, 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 what do you think I should do? And she would say, well, Lori, I think you need to think about setting up a couple boundaries with your mom. Guess what my reaction was? Nope. My mom is the nicest person in the world, and she's really one of my best friends, and I never want to hurt her. I need my mom, but because of my personality, she needed me. And I felt like I was the only person she could count on, not even my dad. So I thought Cynthia didn't understand my situation. I thought my situation was different and special, and I didn't believe her. Guess what? I was a fool. I was unteachable in that situation. I love this verse. It says, no temptation has overcome you that's not common to man. I used to think even my temptations were not common, right? I've learned since, yeah, I'm just like everybody, and for me it's a relief now. But that was my first encounter with the word boundaries. So about several years later, 2 children later, been married about 7 or 8 years, I was feeling a little stressed. Being single is great because the only person you have to take care of is yourself. You might have to be kind to people and have interactions, but I had control over that, right? When I got married, that was a big adjustment. All of a sudden I realized how selfish I was when I got married. But we adjusted. We learned to work with each other. And then when I had my first child, I really knew how selfish I was. Then I had my second one, then I really knew. It got harder. Juggling my husband, juggling my children, juggling my mother, juggling my ministry. It just was really tough. And I wanted to do it well. I wanted to honor God. I wanted to do this well because I tend to be an overachiever. So I really want to do a good job. But I was not happy. How many of you can relate to that? Yeah, I'm married to this big, tall, handsome guy who provides for us. I grew up in a home where my dad didn't provide. And I had everything, and I was not happy. But I would smile, right? Because I should be happy. And we were leading a small group, and in this small group, one of the topics that came up was priorities. And I thought, well, I've got that down, right? God first, my husband, my kids, my ministry. I kind of had it all down. But there was this little voice in me, which I tend to think probably was the Holy Spirit, saying, do you really have this down? I mean, you've got it on paper, looks really good, you're an A+ student, but honey, is that how you live? Uh-oh. Who do you think got the least amount of my attention and time?
You.
Yes. But who else?
God.
Yeah, I was pretty good with God, but
Your family?
my husband.
Yeah.
And so you guys are going to hate me by the end, and your husbands are going to love me by the end. Because he was an adult. He can take care of himself. I'm in the 70s, I was a feminist, right? So, you know, I take care of myself, you take care of yourself. And I loved my husband. One of the things that attracted me to him was that he was self-sufficient and independent. I couldn't stand those clingy guys. That's why I'm surprised I said kitty. But, so, my husband he's an introvert, and if you know the Enneagram, he's a 5. He lives in his head. I did not understand this living in your head thing back then. I thought it was like me, right? Say what you think, say what you are thinking about, and we all participate with each other, what we're thinking, and vice versa. Well, now I realize Tom wasn't that way. So, this is an example of what would happen. So with my priorities, I didn't live them because I want to give you my first example of a priority. And I'm not sticking to your outline, that's why I'm faltering here. So, I got my priorities, told you about my husband. The Holy Spirit said, your husband is not at the top, sweetie. But he is in my heart. No, honey, your mother is. Your mother might not live with you. She might not even live in the same town, but she is always present. And if she calls, you drop everything. And you go on and on and on with her on the phone. Not very safe with toddlers. And when my mom would call, because they lived out in the desert, they'd say, honey, your dad and I are going to come up this weekend. And I would say, oh, good. Because my mom was a great sitter with my kids, I'm telling you. And she'd be all happy, and I'd hang up, and I'd be stressed. Because I wasn't sure how Tom was going to respond. Tom liked my family, but he didn't like surprises, right? When you're married to a person that's an introvert and a 5, they don't like surprises because they need time to adjust. I love surprises. So when I heard that voice, I thought, I need to ask Tom what he thinks. No. That's why I put big question, is I didn't want to ask the question because I assumed he was fine with it because he never brought it up. Are any of you married to someone like that? Yeah. And I like just assuming and write my own script. He's an adult. If he wants to bring something up, he should. Well, I should do a lot of things also, right? And I don't. And I married this person. And if he's truly the most important person in my life, I need to start treating him as such and stop presuming that I know what he's thinking. We're going to talk a lot about presumption because it gets you in trouble all the time. So, with presumption comes strife. So I asked Tom, and actually I was talking to him about it the other day, and he remembers this conversation because he was so happy it came up. So we've been married 41 and a half years, so to remember that. So he was so glad I asked. And the question I asked was, so honey, does it bother you that my mom and dad call and just come up? I couldn't ask him all the questions related to my mom because I'm a big chicken and I didn't want to know all the answers yet. But this is the one that I felt convicted about. And he said, well, I don't want to hear what he has to say. I'm just being honest, but I did because I love him. So he said, he's very diplomatic, and he just basically shared that no, he wanted to have it on the schedule. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? But he said, I would prefer that, if she wanted to come out, we would talk about it, they would talk about it, and throw out some dates, and we'd figure out a date and make it happen. And that, we would have fun then, that weekend. I wouldn't be caught off guard. We could do our life. So I thought I was a really great wife because sometimes I would even say to my mom if she called and said, can we come up she wouldn't say, can we? We're coming up this weekend. I would say, well, let me just call you back and ask Tom. I thought that was really good. Well, Tom shared with me that he felt like he didn't really have a choice. Now, funny, if he were to ask me things, sometimes I felt like I had a choice, sometimes I didn't. I'm a little more verbal. So, we got that all cleared up. Well, after the conversation, Tom is feeling what?
Relieved, respected.
Respected, appreciated, happy.
Believed it.
Yeah. And the thing that I've learned about Tom in the last 10 years is that he's never really been nurtured his whole life. And I'm a very nurturing mother, but I didn't nurture my husband. So the last several years I've been so convicted. Lori, this is your chance to nurture your husband and have him experience something in his life he's never had. And it's really been cute, you guys. But he felt nurtured. He felt like someone cared about him deeply. Because does he want to be the bad guy? No. Okay, so after we're done talking, I'm sitting down and thinking, I can't call my mom and tell her this. It's not going to go well. And also I said, our family never does things this way. We're not planners. We're spontaneous. That's who we are. I started thinking, what would you be thinking?
I'm breaking the rules.
Yes.
I'm scared of my mom.
Yeah.
I don't want to do damage control
Yes.
after the conversation.
So interestingly, I started asking myself, and that's why I'm saying at the very top, be curious about yourself. Lori, why are you nervous? Lori, what do you think's going to happen? Lori, why do you say you have these priorities but you're not living them? I start asking myself a lot of questions. And I encourage you all to do that because you might be surprised with what the answers are. At that time, my answer would have been, well, I don't want to hurt my mom's feelings. She was a really good mom, and I just don't want to hurt her feelings. Well, we're going to talk more in a week or two about family rules, unwritten, unspoken rules, but you know what they are. And one of the rules in my family, I did not know this at that time, was never hurt your mother. Yeah. I'm glad I'm connecting with someone because it was like fireworks went off in my head when I realized that. And not all of my siblings respected those rules, but I did. Because I'm a good daughter. And that was the rule in our family. Lori is the good daughter. So, with all my courage, God, please help me, I'm just so, please. And I thought, Lori, don't be ridiculous. She's such a nice mom and blah, blah, blah. And so, my gut knew she'd be hurt. Now I know what I really felt but wasn't able to voice at that time. It's nice aging, you guys. But now I know I didn't want to call her because I was going to be uncomfortable. I was chicken. And I tried to make it deeper and all that. I just didn't want to deal with it. And that's why I never wanted to do it. So it's nice when you can be honest with yourself and just say, I don't want to do this. It's not going to be comfortable. I'd like to be comfortable. So my mother called, of course, and said they were going to come up that weekend before I called her to talk to her about it. Thinking, oh, my stomach, my heart. I go, oh, Mom? Yes, honey. That weekend's not going to work for us. Okay. That was so, I stammered. And so she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. And I ended up saying, well, I gotta go, bye. And I stuck around for a while, right, on this phone call, but that's how my mom does, or did. She's gone now, but just she would be silent. Are you guys like getting stomach aches with me? So I was depressed, and this is when I'm telling you that I brought my mother into our home. I was depressed for days because I hurt my mother's feelings. I'm bad. And that was another lie. We'll talk about lies I told myself. You're bad. You hurt your mother. And meanwhile, Tom still has to live with me now that I'm all and do damage control, and it just isn't fun. So I ended up calling her saying, Mom, we really want you to come out. We really want to enjoy you, but Tom and I've talked, and he and I, that was hard for me to say me. I don't even remember if I did say it, but I thought I should, so maybe I did. He and I would like to put it on the calendar so we can really enjoy that weekend with you. Now, my mom didn't like that verbiage. She saw right through it. And she said, okay, honey. And then she didn't call for a while, and then she called, and I think she said, well, we want to come out. So we were able to do that. So my mom eventually felt more comfortable with it. I felt more comfortable with it, but it was not comfortable. So if you're thinking about making a boundary, and we will talk more about that, so you might want a little script. You might want to practice with someone. But the thing for me, when I made a boundary, I felt myself being hard-hearted, right? Well, we're going to do this and this and this. And so I would come across mean. But I was acting that way because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble. So I was defensive, right? So those weird things are going on. But really, my mom is hurting because I just broke a family rule that has been around for 1 million years. She's hurting. And so I would ask that you would ask God to give you tenderheartedness and empathy as you move forward in a relationship where you might need to put up a boundary. And God's faithful to do that. So do you think I have ever been comfortable making a boundary? No. No. And I was never comfortable having boundaries with my mother because it changed the dynamic of our relationship. It improved my home environment, but it changed the dynamics, and it was sad for her and sad for me. I wasn't allowed to have boundaries, you guys. I'm an adult. But it took me so many years to be willing to say it that way. Because I would always say, I really hurt my mother, and I feel so bad. Well, they're both true. My mom could not look at it that way. So she picked another favorite, which was my sister-in-law. Yeah.
That's hard.
That was hard. It was healthy, but it was hard. I loved the attention and nurturing I got out of that relationship. Be consistent, hold your ground. How hard is that?
10.
Yes. So my mom would want me to share all kinds of deep things, and I will finish in 2 minutes, I'm sorry. And I was seeing a therapist at this time, and I would reveal things to her that I didn't feel were healthy. And then I started dreading her phone calls. I just started getting weird because I had to change me as well as she had to change herself. And so the therapist said, so when you talk to your mother, set the timer for 15 minutes. I can't do that. Because my mom feels good when we have like a long, meaningful conversation. And it fills her up. So I started setting the timer, and I felt much better after the conversations. Because after 15 minutes, I'm not going to reveal things that are going to come back to bite me. I'm telling you, they always came back to bite me. In a very nice way, but they did. So setting the timer is very important. So I stopped setting the timer after a while because I felt like we're getting healthy. This is great. Went right back to our old things, came back to bite me. So be consistent. Accountability helps. Remember, you're helping your mom learn to love you and your family. That your family is more important than her family. They're both important, but remember, I have my priorities. So keep those priorities. And am I really okay with the consequences? And I think you need to get there before you set a boundary. Say, it's okay. I'm willing, Lord, to do this, but I need help. That's what girlfriends are for. So we'll end there. Such a light topic, huh? Please don't go home and make a million changes. Ask yourself questions. Why did I react that way when Lori was saying this? Maybe you're the one who makes the boundaries. Oh, now I know why it's so hard for them. You know, just be curious about yourself, how you reacted to what I said. So enjoy your groups. It's so nice to see your gorgeous faces. Paige, take it away.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.